Hi, it's Jess here from Sun Valley Trading Co, the Australian distributors for Cowboy industrial sewing machines and leather machines. This video is just to go through setting up a Cowboy 4500. These are our big, long arm, heavy duty sewing machines. So we'll get started by showing you the accessories that will come in the package. So I've got here a box of some of the accessories, which will include a bag with the bolts for attaching it to the table. There's 4 bolts and nuts and washers. There's a bag with the chain for the presser foot lift, and some spare bobbins, some other spare parts, blanket foot. This one has the standard needle plate in it because the narrow slotted needle plate has been installed. And there will be other accessories in here depending on what you've ordered. There's also the lubrication pot. It attaches on the top there. We'll look at that later. There'll be a thread stand and the belt guard, which we will go through the installation of. I've already got this machine mounted to the table, but there's the 4 bolts, 2 at the front and 2 at the back, and they just go through those holes into the table, and flat washer and nut on the bottom to secure it, and they do need to be quite tight. The chain for the presser foot lift, feed it down behind this bar here and attach the top link onto this S-hook. The end of the chain then feeds down through this hole which goes through the table. The other S-hook goes through this hole in the bracket on the pedal, and then we attach the chain to the S-hook. Now we want it to be fairly tight, like not a lot of slop, but important to remember when doing this that the presser foot needs to be down, otherwise it won't give it enough slack to put the presser foot down. The oil lube pot is attached on the top here. There'll be a screw in the casing of the machine. Just take that out, sit this over the top, and tighten it back up. You don't have to have this on. It is purely an optional extra. If you want to be lubricating your thread, you can run it through there. Yeah, as a part of the threading process, you would lubricate your thread with like a silicone or something like that, for mostly if your thread's getting too hot. It helps with that. If you're sewing really fast, probably isn't something that would happen very often when you're using a machine like this. Other than that, you can lubricate the thread so that if you're sewing through something that you've glued together, it just gives it a bit more lubrication so that it doesn't get sticky. This little thread guide will need to be screwed in at the top of your machine. On the machines that I sell, I will have some thread through it, and it just wrapped around here because it's all threaded, so you can see how it works, a pattern to follow. But you may need to just pull the thread out of this and screw it in at the top here. Then re-thread your machine and include this in that process. There is a separate video with the complete threading sequence. We'll now install the belt guard. First up, we'll take these screws out that are in the tabletop. And just put them aside for now. So in the package with the belt guard, there's the 2 pieces of the belt guard and a package with the screws and attachments. These 2 are the spacers so that the inside edge of the guard is stepped out from the flywheel. They just screw into these holes here. And then we can attach the inside piece. You line it up basically with the curve there, and then we use 2 of these tiny little screws and line up these 2 holes with those spacers that we just installed, and they have a threaded bit at the end which we'll put this little screw into. And we can do them up with a screwdriver. Then we can get our belt, which is down here around the speed reducer. Just pull it around a bit, make sure it's straight, and then it just goes onto the rim of the flywheel. It's reasonably tight, it needs to be, so that it doesn't slip when you're sewing through thick material. And then we can put the outside part of the guard on. Some more of the small screws to attach the 2 pieces of the guard together. It wants to be fairly even there, not like this part sticking way out. And the same on this side. And then we can screw it down with the screws that we took out before. Just be careful at this stage that there is a gap between the guard and the flywheel. If you need to just move it over a bit before you screw it down. Our thread stand is in two parts, so we just need to join them together. Have this little clamp that joins them, so we can slip it onto the bottom first and tighten that up. Then put the top part in. And tighten up the second screw. Then we can attach our thread stand to the table in this large hole at the back corner of the table. Just need to slip that little soft bit off the end. Take off the large nut and a flat washer. Leave one flat washer on there. Stick it down through the hole and then tighten up the nut underneath the table. Have your thread stand with the top and bottom arms parallel and close to the bottom and close to the top. You don't really want them close together, you want a bit of space for the thread to come off. Then you can put your spool of thread over there and the threading process starts by going from the back to the front through the top arm. For the specific threading instructions, you can see the other video for how to thread your Cowboy 4500. Once you've got your thread in, you're pretty much ready to start sewing. You can start the motor by pressing the red button on the side of the control box here. The light will come on and the screen will start having lights moving around on it. There isn't a lot that you'll need to change in all the settings on the motor, but for more information about it, you can see our other video about the servo motor. We hope that you enjoy your machine and get to make lots of interesting projects with it. Thank you for supporting Cowboy sewing machines.